I'll officially call to order the regular meeting of Coachella Valley Water District Board of Directors here in Coachella on April 23rd, 2024. And why don't we go through the script first, because we do have a remote participant. So prior to roll call, I'd like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that at least a portion of this board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953, in that Director Aguilar is in Lihue, Hawaii, and will be participating by speakerphone. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, the teleconference location has been identified on the agenda for this meeting. Should we do the roll? Why don't we wait on the roll call? Why don't we wait on the roll call?
Sure.
All right, and then, so we're still waiting for Director Bianco to pull up. So I'd like now to request that Director Aguilar respond to the following questions. Director Aguilar, can you hear me well?
Good morning, John. Yes, I can.
Oh, great. Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end up until now?
I have.
Is it 5 a.m. there?
It is. Yes, it is.
It's 5 a.m. All right, you are dedicated. All right. Because the last time we did this, it was later. Yeah, it was.
I know. Yeah. I just stayed up.
I know. Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes, I do.
Have you posted the agenda at the location, at your location?
I have, yes.
Is your location reasonably accessible to the public such that any member of the public could participate in this teleconference from your location if he or she wished to do so?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Is there any member of the public there with you who would like to participate in the public comment portion of this meeting or otherwise address any agenda items for this meeting?
No, not at the moment, John.
Okay, thank you. And then as a reminder, all votes for the meeting will be taken by roll call. And
That's about as far as we're going to go.
yes. I know Director Bianco is going to be here very soon. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and the roll call once he gets here.
Probably even a little too early to go surfing.
You know, they come up. Once the sun
Yeah.
starts coming out, they get out there and surf. Although maybe not where he is.
Yeah, he's on a bay.
You know,
It's still very dark.
yeah, still dark. Yeah.
John, I was there last week. This is Peter, and you're tough. I did a 6 o'clock meeting, but I didn't do any 5 a.m. meetings. Hats off to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
So it'll just be a couple minutes here.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Well, Director Aguilar, can you hear me?
John, can you hear me?
There.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
There you go. Fair enough. All right.
Okay.
Well, why don't we
Yeah.
do the Pledge of
Okay.
Allegiance?
Back on track.
Back on track.
There we go.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Good morning, President Powell.
Here.
Vice President Estrada will be absent for today's meeting. Director Bianco,
Here.
Director Aguilar,
Here?
and Director Nelson.
Here.
Thank you.
Yay. Are there any additions, deletions, or adjustments to today's agenda?
No, sir.
I don't have any. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment at this time? Seeing none. This takes us to the consent calendar, items 5A through H. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
President Powell,
Aye.
Director Bianco,
Aye.
Director Aguilar,
Aye.
and Director Nelson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passed 4-0. So let's see, on to the action calendar, 7A, engineering. Who's jumping up? Whose item is this? David? This is a change order on the mid-canal. Good morning, David.
Purpose of this item is to authorize, Purpose of this item is to authorize the general manager to execute change order number 12 with Suka Construction in the amount of $274,319. A portion of this cost will be absorbed through the existing remaining pre-approved contingency. So the net additional ask here is $259,817. You may recall the project establishes an inline regulatory reservoir wherein the existing slope protection or slope liner within the canal and the old canal, that's removed, and the two canals are merged together, and the whole reach is lined with clay. Throughout the course of the work, as you may recall, in the fall, early fall, and late fall, we had some pretty good storms going out there. We had the breach in the canal at the one location. And the site was hit numerous times with rains that created an issue with the clays out there. The project requires that in areas where we have sand lenses, in order to maintain the existing condition as it relates to seepage on the canal, that we provide 2.8 feet of clay throughout the entire reach at a minimum, specifically where the clay or where the sand lenses are along the canal. The plans originally anticipated that we could grab the clays in close proximity to the areas where they were needed. However, during all these storms and the saturation associated with these storms, it created a big problem for the contractor to move around. He was getting equipment stuck and that sort of thing. So it forced us to move to other areas. And in all, they moved about 19,000 yards of dirt that had to go about 3 miles. It created a long haul situation. And that's what this is intended to capture.
So you said 2.8 feet of clay?
Or inches.
Inches?
It's 2.8 feet.
So that's like
Uh-huh.
that
Close to a yard.
thick
Yeah.
of clay for the whole thing?
For the areas where there were sand lenses, obviously the areas that had clay didn't have to,
Already
the areas where we had the sand lenses, in order to equate the recognized seepage that is within concrete as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I read the same thing, John. I was thinking 2.8 inches.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty, that should hold up, huh?
Hope so.
Yeah, okay. All right. Is there any comments or questions or?
Yeah, so on the funding on this, I understand that, it's going to be in the canal fund. But there's also a portion of the project that puts in some tubes into the panels that are at a different part of the canal.
Yes.
Shouldn't that really be paid by the project and not just by canal fund? It's about $70,000.
Paid by the project, you mean by the,
By the other participants?
By the consortium of the tribe
Yeah.
in San Diego.
it was something that came up. I mean, the intention of the project was also to alleviate the potential for the concrete to separate from the line or the existing clays that are out there. And this is meant to mitigate that. The thinking is, San Luis Rey already signaled at the beginning or at the end of the negotiations that would be hard pressed to acquire any additional funding from them. And then just given the time delay and the engagement that it required in the back and forth with San Diego, given the value that the project provides to us as it relates to our ability to regulate the flows at a much closer area within where we start to deliver the flows, given that it only puts us up to we were at 49% of our contribution, now we're right at 50. And we're basically getting a facility that we're going to reap a tremendous amount of value for in the years to come at half the cost. And so that's the logic, just cover the cost, pay the contractor, be done, and close it out.
Yeah, what's the total price of the whole project?
The total price right now is $11,141,258.
Okay.
Well,
I get it.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it
it's
too.
small. Yeah.
I get it too. Is there a motion to approve 7A?
Yeah, so move.
Okay, I'll second that. Roll call,
President Powell,
please. Aye?
Director Bianco,
Aye.
Director Aguilar,
Aye.
And Director Nelson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Okay. Environmental Services. 7B, this is, our annual engineers report.
Morning, Ivory.
Clicker on?
Ivory.
Check this side.
Good morning.
No, on the side.
So we're going to acknowledge receipt is what we're doing.
That's right. Good morning, President
Good
Powell,
morning.
members of the board. I'm Ivory Rayburn, Water Resources Supervisor. As required by State Water Code Section 31631, staff has prepared the 2024-2025 Engineers Report on Water Supply and Replenishment Assessment. The report provides an updated description of groundwater conditions based on the SIGMA annual reports as presented to you in March by the Water Resources Manager, Zoe Rodriguez Del Rey. Water levels are stable in the 3 areas of benefit, and artificial replenishment continues to be necessary to maintain positive trends in the basin. We did observe a localized decrease of up to 20 feet near the Thomas E. Levy replenishment facility due to the decreased deliveries as part of Colorado River conservation activities. The report also includes updated groundwater production and groundwater replenishment totals. In 2023, we reached a milestone of exceeding the 4 million acre-feet replenished since 1973 at the Whitewater River Groundwater Replenishment Facility. Note that Table 4-2 has been revised in the final report and the hard copy that you have in front of you. The version attached to the agenda had a miscalculation in Table 4-2, which has been corrected. The report also includes updated income statements for each RAC fund. The income statements match what was presented at the board study session last week. No RAC rate increases are being proposed. The RACs currently in effect will continue at the existing rates. The recommended action is for the board to acknowledge receipt of the 2024-2025 Engineers Report as required by State Water Code. I'm happy to go through the rest of the presentation if you like. Otherwise, I'm open for questions.
No, I would just say, I hadn't noticed the 4 million, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But this is a kind of a real, just almost boring kind of thing, nothing exciting in here. But
Yep.
that's really great, right? I
Yep.
mean, in California to have anybody doing something like this, it's not, there's
John,
no fireworks here. Yeah.
Especially considering that last week, the State Water Resources Control Board put the Tulare Lake Basin on probation, and because they're not addressing in a timely fashion the rules and regulations of SIGMA. So this is fantastic to know that our basin is healthy. It's it's being managed. There are appropriate funds to do so, and it's just really exciting to see this, even though it's boring.
Yeah, it's the best part about it, right?
Yeah,
Take
right.
boring.
Yeah.
Boring is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for the record, we recommend a motion to acknowledge receipt, just for the record in the minutes.
Sure. Would somebody like to move to acknowledge receipt?
I'll move to acknowledge receipt of the engineer's report of water supply and replenishment.
I'll second.
Okay.
Great. A roll call, please.
President Powell.
Aye.
Director Bianco.
Aye.
Director Aguilar.
Aye.
And Director Nelson.
Aye.
4-0. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ivory.
Thank you, Ira. Next is written communications, and we do have a letter that we've
Yes.
received from Mr. Teinberg. Board comments and requests for future agenda items. Why don't we start with Director Aguilar on board general comments?
John, thanks. I do not have any comments this morning.
Thank you. Peter?
No particular comments, except for it looks like the state water project allocation is going to be a whopping 40% coming
that what
up
they're saying?
from the information they presented this week. So not great news for sure.
Is that not final though, right? Is
It's,
that,
it's not announced, but the 90th exceedance was at 40%, and the 50th exceedance was at 41%, I think, so it's pretty much baked in.
baked in? Yeah, I get it. Well, it's disappointing. Director Bianco?
No comments.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I do either. Any requests for future agenda items?
No, John.
Hearing none. This brings us to board meeting reports. Director Nelson, you got a couple on there.
Yeah, so I did not attend either the Metropolitan Facilities Tour or the Colorado River Board as I was on vacation and
Okay.
out of town.
Okay. April 11th, Director Bianco?
Yeah, I was at the Energy and Sustainable Committee. There was no CVCC meeting. I'm trying to look up my notes right now. I'll come back to that.
Okay. April 15th, I did not attend the DVBA meeting, so we can take that
Okay.
one off. We had our study session on the 16th. The attendees are noted. And then, let's see, yesterday we had a 2-on-2 with the City of Indian Wells. I guess it's been a while since we've done that with them, and it was good to, these folks, the mayor and the mayor pro tem, I honestly hadn't met them before, so it was useful for that purpose, I think. And we had some issues, with what they're doing on irrigation, or landscape irrigation, and the channel, issues with the channel, post-storm issues. It was useful. Director Nelson of California Farm Water?
Yeah, that was held yesterday. A lot of discussion about fundraising, going out and getting new members within the private sector, as well as a possible rate increase. I think they charge at a rate per acre, like 15 cents an acre. And looking at a possible dues increase, since there hasn't been one since '08, '09, so not bad. So that was most of the discussion.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Are there any other meetings?
Do you want to go back to CVAC?
Oh, do you want to?
Yeah, so
Okay, good
we were
call.
basically
Thanks.
informed of the presentation of a lithium extraction at the Salton Sea. That was the big focus of the meeting. It just went through the pros and cons and what's going on with that, and just an update. And then at our CBEC meeting the same day, we met at Indio City Hall, and we basically finalized the language from Assembly Garcia's office. There was some, misunderstandings on if we were included or weren't included, and it seems like we are included. So that's it was a real quick meeting, but that was a lot of discussion on that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, okay, great. Are there any other meetings?
You have a couple, John. Section 5 contractors meeting, both on April 2nd and April 22nd. Talking about what's the negotiations on the river, a lot about operational neutrality of ICS water, of current water in the reservoirs, as well as post-2026 guidelines. And then Robert has a presentation to make in closed session. And then on April 5th, I had a Colorado River Basin Forecast Center water supply study webinar. Talked about the Colorado River, Lake, what supplies would be available, and it's Lake Powell, April to June runoff forecast is 8.39 million acre feet, which is 87% of average, but overall Lake Powell's going to be rising significantly this year and staying high. Lake Mead will, do its thing under the operational guidelines. So that was a good meeting. And then on 4/19, I attended Sites Operation and Reservoir Committee meeting, and they're being delayed by the administrative office in getting their water right done by the California Water Resources Control Board, but it's just about a 4-month delay, and they don't think it will delay their, if approved, they don't think that it will delay their construction plans. So we'll see. But in any case, that was not good news on that, but it is in the process, and that water right's moving forward. So that's good for us as we're part of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? No? All right, is there a motion to approve the meetings reported on?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
A roll call?
President Powell,
Aye.
Director Aguilar. I'm sorry, sorry. I'm reading and looking at two different things. Director Bianco
Yes.
and Director Nelson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passed 4-0.
4-0.
General manager report.
Nothing this morning, sir.
Council report.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to briefly mention the Sheets versus County of El Dorado case that you may have read about in the U.S. Supreme Court, a 9-0 decision. Has to do with the takings clause. And as we know, there can be various types of takings by public agencies. That can be eminent domain, the straight takings. It can be requiring that you give up a certain amount of property for development, which is a taking. But until this case, there wasn't a takings clause action that could be brought for a development impact fee. So in this case, a individual was building a pre-manufactured house in the middle of the county, El Dorado County, on his own. The county required that he pay a traffic impact fee. And so he questioned that fee because his one house on his piece of property out in the middle of nowhere was not going to impact the traffic that otherwise was being impacted in the county. The U.S. Supreme Court reviewed the case and said that, yes, an impact fee could be considered a taking unless it can be shown that there's a particular burden caused by this development of this house that requires a payment of the fee. What's important to note here is the U.S. Supreme Court simply said there could be a cause of action, a lawsuit based on takings. As you know, when somebody wants to challenge an impact fee, it's usually based on whether it's a tax, properly reasonable burden on their development, but it's not based on a constitutional takings clause. So now this case has been returned to the trial court to determine whether or not an impact fee would be considered a taking unless it's directly related to that particular piece of property. The issue here is fees are not imposed on directly an individual piece of property. They're imposed based on a schedule of fees, based on a capital improvement plan, a general plan, where development is going to take place, what development may cause their need for. But the court did not say all fees have to be directly related to each particular property. They left that for the lower court. What we do here at the district is we go through a very exhaustive process before we impose any fees to show that this has directly impacted what the development will be, what kind of development there will be, and that the fees that we charge for water and wastewater are directly related. So I don't think that we should be concerned here with this case other than there's now an opportunity for a developer or a property owner to bring a takings clause cause of action that we may have to respond to in the future. So big case, 9-0, and we'll let you know as this progresses.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any departmental reports?
No, sir, I don't see anybody rising to the occasion.
Okay. At this time, the board will recess to closed session to consider items 12A through E, and then we will reconvene to report out. Regular meeting is hereby reconvened. We do have one item to report from closed session. Jeff, go ahead.
Yes, on item 12E, on a motion by Director Nelson, second by President Powell, and a 5-0 vote, the board, I'm sorry, 3-0 vote, the board took action to reject the claim and direct staff to send the appropriate notice. There was no other reportable action.
Thank you, and with no further business, we are adjourned.